presentation and meeting and networking opportunities and things like that. I'm David with the Essex County branch of the Ontario Geological Society. Cindy's here, and Michelle and Pat. Deborah is our Linda. That's okay. Anyway, we're a small number of us in Windsor that are fairly active in it. We have quite a number of members that are outside Windsor area that help keep us running, so that's kind of nice. Anyway, today what we're going to do is I'll go through some slides, tell you what's going on at OGS locally and nationally, and some of the benefits. Tell you some of the upcoming presentations. Then we're going to get into Linda talking about how she goes through looking for ancestors and putting together her family tree and things. And if we have time, then Cindy's going to talk about, I'll say, social media, searching for family on social media. It's interesting. I was surprised a few years ago. I got a number of my wife's relatives from family tree, so they were all excited about that. That was kind of neat. So anyway, hopefully we'll get to that. If not, there'll be another meeting. So January meeting. You like the way we changed the weather for you? So
Yes.
We worked hard on that one. So. Our meetings are being recorded and they'll be put on YouTube, so you can. So if you ask questions, you'll be on the YouTube and things like that. So, or if you want to go back and review any of them, or even older ones, they're going to all be available hopefully by the end of the week or so. Okay. Yeah, so we've been, I remember going to Toronto one time, and the ancestors' headstone, it was bare. I had to dig it up, and once I dug it all up, there was nothing on it. So I went into the cemetery office and asked them more about it, and they said, "Oh, here's the Ontario Geological Society's book. They transcribed this, back in the 1980s and stuff." So I was like, "Wow, that's amazing." So it told me everything was on there, so it wasn't lost. And that's sort of what we do. One Pat's ahead of it here locally, going to all the cemeteries and transcribing all the headstones. And now we're getting into taking pictures and uploading those as well. So, so if anybody likes going around cemeteries, and it's actually kind of fun, we have a good time. Come along and join us. My kids grew up in cemeteries pretty well, but anyway, yeah, they don't trust me when we go for a drive anymore. So yeah, so we could, if you're interested in that kind of things, we've got lots of things you could do. If you just like doing social media, we got jobs for you. So hopefully you get you involved. That's our website. Linda's going to go through a little bit of that today, show you some of the pages on there and the things that are available. That's the head office, I'll call it, the society office website, and from there links into the members only pages of the various branches from there. So, and then we have also for Essex County, our own website that is available to everybody. So right now we're having a few problems as we change over, but we'll have that done within the first part of this year anyway. If anybody's really good at webmaster, as a webmaster, let me know. I've got a job for you. So that's our website. Facebook. How many of you have seen our Facebook group? Oh, great. Yeah. So that's we set that up so you guys could network between the two of you, each other. So you could say, "Hey, I sort of saw you at the meeting," and make notes and things. So we tried other things like LinkedIn. That didn't go very far. Only 17 people signed up for that one. Twitter didn't go very far either. I think we tried Instagram, and we just don't have people to maintain them all. So if anybody's interested in maintaining any of these social media things, put your hand up and volunteer. We'll go from there. So anyway, those are the two main things that we work with right now. So benefits, yeah, I think there's we had a handout. Some of you picked it up that talks about some of the benefits. Today we're going to talk about more things that are really exciting that have come out, I think, since that's been printed. So there's a few more I'll touch on them in a few minutes, but they're all on the OGS central office website, where magazines, How many have been on MyHeritage? Yeah, you can get it for $10 now for the whole year, so through OGS and things. So those are kinds of things we're working on to make our benefits of the OGS even better. So that's the MyHeritage. This is really brand new. This is like really exciting. This is like I just got a couple emails today saying you better talk about that today. So yeah, for if you have a membership, you can join basically for $10. Matter of fact, the library here, when they heard we had this, they're kind of like, can we become a member? So we're actually looking in an institutional membership, so that they can have access to it. Well, I don't know if they'll be able to. We'll work on that. So anyway, that's really big. So I have a membership myself of that. I just started last year, so I forgot how much I paid for it, but it was a deal at that time. So this is even much better. So.
David?
Yeah.
Do you know what the difference is between a regular membership into MyHeritage and a library edition?
I haven't tried it, so I don't know.
The differences are on the website.
Okay.
Yeah, if you go to the website, because people have been asking on Facebook, like, what do I get for my $10? What's the difference between the two? And I know that they've been just saying, sending the link, go to the website. There's actually tells you what the library edition will get you.
Yeah, I don't think you have a family tree is probably the biggest thing.
Like I went to it and bought it because you go to the OGS site to their e-store and you can buy that $10 membership. So I bought it, but now I don't know what to do because
There's a code or something somewhere. So they'll send you the code,
Oh,
and I've been
somebody's
reading on
gonna say-
Facebook, they send you a code, and that's your code. So then every time you sign into it, you have to put your code in, so you don't lose your code. Because a couple of the people were saying, I used my code, but now I don't know how to get back in. And I think it was either David Thompson or Steve Fulton was saying, you got to keep your code. And yeah, it's a little bit onerous, but every time you log in, but they want to make sure you're an OGS member, and that's your code that belongs to you. So yeah, so.
Anyway,
If you have a question, just post it up on the OGS Facebook page. Somebody
Yeah.
will answer you.
Yeah, that's as opposed to an email that may not get.
Yeah.
We have we're all the people working here locally. Wear a lot of different hats. So one day we're on the cemetery, next day we're on the website, next day we're transcribing. So the emails sometimes get answered. So we try. Again, if you want to help out, you could answer emails. Okay, another new thing is History of Scotland's, History of Scotland. You can a cheaper version at 50% discount. So again, if any of you have Scottish heritage and want to try it out for a year, that's another benefit for you. So, another one is Family Tree, and there's some copies of Family Tree back there. Any of those magazines at the back table, we would love you to take them. Please, we don't want to carry them around. So yeah, Family Tree's back there. You can take a look at it in case you want to join. So, and again, these are in British pounds, so that's still a significant amount. But again, if you might want to try it. So, this one I'm going to try to get next year after my heritage runs out. I'll probably try to find my past one. So again, that's a fairly good discount. So another one where we've negotiated these things. So.
Why wait? Do it twice.
I have a hard enough time doing one. I keep getting all these emails. You got a new family.
Has anybody been on that? Is it good?
Yeah.
I haven't heard about this one.
Who's used family?
Yeah, I don't think I've heard about it.
Everyone's public.
I have Find My Past, and it's a British version of Ancestry. And I've done research on the British soldiers that were pensioned. Because a lot of British soldiers were pensioned to Canada. So they were given land or something like that. And I've compared the records from Ancestry and Find My Past. And they say they've got the same records, but it's not always the same records, and they have different names. So having the two really helped me out because I found more information on the different soldiers that I was doing.
No, and at the moment we're able to use the library version of Find My Past. It only basically is Canada.
That's here.
Yeah, no, it was through OGS.
Through OGS?
Yeah, I was able to get the free version for, but it's only Canada. It doesn't give me the.
Yeah, their English records for parish records are excellent. Excellent, and you get to see the original document for a lot of them.
So more of my free time is lost. Okay, how many members here today? Okay, you may have got an email. We were talking about the bylaws. At the moment, the branch has you have OGS bylaws, and then we took them and massaged them for ourselves, but it's becoming a little bit onerous on us, so we've said, hey, let's just go back to the original OGS. So that's basically what we're doing, and you'll probably get another message from us to say, hey, I don't know if it'll be a vote or, right now everyone's sort of in agreement that, proceed. No one said, no, that's a problem, so we'll see. We'll probably get that out within the next month, so. But that's just one thing that we've been having a few discussions about as to how to proceed with this. So. Yearbooks, this is one that's dear to my heart. Linda and I go to the University of Windsor Levy Library basement, and they have a new $30,000 book scanner. And so we've been getting people lending us yearbooks, and we're scanning them, and then we have to format them, and then we have to code them, and then we have to put them on a spreadsheet. So it's a bit of work. Again, anybody else interested in scanning? I have a project for you. This project will keep you busy for a couple of years. So.
As soon as I retire, I will help you with that. I love doing that kind of stuff.
Oh, it's fun. The trouble is, as you're scanning, you're reading it.
Yeah.
So it is kind of fun. We've done a few now, so it takes a bit of time, but and we've got, I don't know if you've been upstairs on the second floor in the reading room. They have they've got tons of yearbooks at the moment, so we're going to be partnering with them to scan all of those and digitize them and make them available. And then we've been doing some at the Marsh Collection in Amherstburg. We're doing some of their yearbooks. People are lending us, like Deborah's given us some to do. So we'll be putting, I think we put out some calls to say, hey, give us your yearbooks and we'll scan them. But it might take us a year to actually, so we'll tell you, yes, we'll come pick them up, scan them and return them. So, I drove down to Amherstburg, picked up some yearbooks, or we got them and delivered them. Someone else delivered them.
She's in Ottawa. I
Ottawa,
think.
yeah.
Yeah,
Brought
Stephanie
them down to
Stone.
us, we scanned them and got them back to her. So,
Yeah.
so we're having fun with them. So you'll hear more about that as we proceed. So, and again, if you want to come and watch us, you can do the scanning. We can help you out. Scan your own yearbooks. So what the nice thing is, it's searchable then, and then you can, I'm looking for John Smith, and it goes right to John Smith for you. So that's what we're doing with them. Once we've digitized it, we format it to allow you to search, so you can find out where your old boyfriends were. So, yeah. Okay, February. This is kind of fun. So the branch, the Society office once a month puts on a webinar, and they invite high-profile people to come. And so our branch have donated some funds to sponsor this webinar for February. So it's and I don't think we didn't fund any other ones at the moment,
No.
but we did one. So that's kind of exciting for us. So now we get some publicity as well.
And they're really worthwhile
Yeah.
to watch them because, or listen, and you listen to them as well, because there's a lot of information, a lot of things that you would never have dreamt that you could do, that these people they have all the information and they're willing to share it, so it's really
And they're
worthwhile.
free. All the
They're
OGS
free.
webinars are free and open to the public. So anybody can join. You just go to the OGS website, go to webinars, resource, education, and then
Education.
into the webinars. And all you have to do is register, and it's free. You can watch it.
And you get reminders.
Yep.
It's coming up, or you get a reminder that you signed up and you didn't watch it. Even that. So, but yeah, they're usually pretty good.
And the whole year for 2018 is up there already. So
Yep.
there's all kinds. There's French, there's Scottish, there's all kinds.
Yep. So I think they have one on DNA. I can't remember.
I think there was one on
Yeah,
DNA.
so-
Yep, coming up.
so that seems to be a hot topic.
Mhm.
So. Okay, so upcoming next month, basically we're we've got permission to watch a webinar. So that's what we're doing next month. It's Black History Month, so we're going with that theme. And Linda, I think you're the one that really arranged all of that. So we're going to try that. So we haven't. I don't think we've ever
Nope.
done this before. So we'll
So
see.
we hope it works.
Yeah, we're gonna try. So, well, let's see. So, hopefully you'll enjoy that. Other ones coming up. Deborah is going to be here again, talking about newspapers and things. And I invited the SWOTA people to cut. I don't know if Catherine will come or not, but I'm trying to get her to come down and she can.
Gee, thanks.
Yeah. She's the one that runs at the University of Windsor Levy Library, the Southwestern Ontario Digital Archives, SWOTA, and within SWOTA, that's a very useful, you should write that down.
I actually have it on,
It's
my
on there?
presentation.
Oh, okay, it's on the presentation. You should go there. It's either Inc, I-N-K, and part of that is SWOTA as well. All the newspapers in Southwestern Ontario, like Amherstburg Echo back 100 years. Old ones, yes.
Well, some of them are actually fairly up to date too, like the Amherstburg Echo was.
Yeah, but they're missing a few years, which they've just gone in to do the microfilming.
Yeah, because I was down there I was the one who arranged all that. So,
Yeah, I went
I
in
didn't-
that day, I said, you don't have these online, and I can't do it at home, I've got to come down here and look at the microfilm.
Yep, so I've been going around the county, getting business for the levy. So anyway, they're arranging that. What else? I'll talk about that later. Newspapers, yeah, so anyway, those are things I think it's going to be a very useful talk. Is that. Eckers, we're going to go on a road trip. We're going to go to Essex. What is that, about 15, 20-minute drive from here. And we're going to take our members there, and everyone's welcome actually, and find out what they do. If you've never been there, it's a really nice little facility. If you've got any family there that have land, they have land records. But this should be pretty exciting. So we're trying to get out to more of these other organizations just to network and get to know what they do and vice versa. So we're doing sort of a joint meetings, I guess. And there's another one that you don't want to miss, DNA. Linda and I have been going to Detroit to DNA workshops. We go to Chatham to DNA workshops and everything. So it's a very hot topic right now. So I know a number of you were talking about your DNA tests and everything. How many have done their DNA?
I got one for Christmas.
Yeah, I gave 3 for Christmas. Not only my kids at cemeteries, now they have to do their DNA. But anyway, so Angela, who actually does workshops up in Chatham, is reaching out and give a presentation. I don't know if it'll be kind of a workshop or presentation, but she's really good. So, and I'm going to be sitting there because Linda and I have been voluntold to do a little workshop at the Detroit Genealogical Society on one very small segment of DNA. So,
As though we are the experts. So
yes.
it's not a joke. Really.
Well, we'll be learning.
Yeah.
We're studying our books, I think, so we'll be okay by then. Okay, tonight's presentation, I'm going to hand it over to Linda.
Okay.
Linda's going to be research methods.
So this is gonna go off.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm not used to this mouse. Okay, my name's Linda Burkhart, and I am the researcher for the branch, among a few other things that I've been talked into doing. I haven't been doing research for a long time, maybe about 10 years, and things were different even 10 years ago in terms of what was available online as opposed to just going to churches and different places like that. So what I'm going to show you is just sort of how I approach doing research. If somebody comes up and says, I'm looking for so-and-so, can you help me? This is what I would do. One of my favorite places to go is Family Search. I'm sure everybody would be familiar with this website. It's free. It's the Latter-day Saints have put it all together. They have their main office, if you want to call it, is in Utah, Salt Lake City. I visited the Family History Center in Salt Lake City. It's phenomenal. And they were telling us how they have all their records stored in some bunker underneath the mountain somewhere. So it's quite a place. And they've gone all over the place, not just Canada and the United States. They've gone all over Europe and maybe even more than just Europe. I'm not sure. I've never had to look for somebody other than in Europe or Canada or United States.
I know they have Chinese records.
Are they like
In
translated? Oh, they're in Chinese. Yeah.
How many are familiar with the Family Search?
Okay, well, I'll show you.
It's free. So,
Do we need to turn this on?
It's on, it's on.
Oh, it's on, okay.
Unless you want to just pull it closer to your mouth, maybe.
I mean,
Yeah.
I'm having trouble hearing.
Okay. You want to pull it closer to your mouth? You can just grab it and pull it. There you go.
Do you want to move over?
is
to
that
this
better?
chair?
Yeah, it just might be me.
Yeah. Is that, can you hear me okay?
yes, it's really good.
I can move over.
Okay, so this is just the, I always go to the search at the top, you can see where my cursor is. And I usually start off with just searching records, which is the place I'm at right now. So, does somebody want to give me an old deceased ancestor that we can see if there's anything on here about them?
Samuel H. Brigham.
Give me the first name,
Samuel
Samuel
H.
H.
Yeah. And I don't remember how to spell the last name, but the ladies over there.
Bridgen, B-R-I-D-G-E-N.
B-R-I-D.
G-E-N.
G-E-N. Do you know about when they were born or where they were born?
He was born in Ireland in approximately 1806.
Oh, that is really old, okay. Ireland, and I'll just put 1800 to 1810. I won't put anything more than that right now. I mean, you can add more things. If you know more things, you're more likely to find someone exactly. I'm just doing a search. And there's a black screen. Whoa, wow, what is that? Okay, that's never happened before.
Doesn't exist.
Can we try one that I already know works?
Well, I know one that works, but why would it say that? I'm hooked up, right? There we go. Oh, it's back to Cindy.
That's okay.
Oh, no, you know what it does? You do have to sign up with Family Search to get a lot of the information.
And it's free.
It's free, but they just, they're gonna get your email, they don't bother you, they don't bug you or anything, you don't have to worry about that. I have no idea what that is. Cindy,
Trust us, it's a great site.
is it your password? Is it something here that's not right?
Put another name in, see if it's just.
You should be able to do the search
Unexpected
without
error.
doing the person's password.
Well, yeah, I was surprised to see that. I sometimes have to do this if I'm going into other things, but that's the same thing I just did. Okay,
Try the
sorry,
search
Samuel.
again. Try searching again first.
Just try the search below.
Do you have to put the?
I've hit it like 3 times. Just
Put
does
the
the same
country's name
thing.
in?
But you signed in, maybe not. No? It's not.
It's still working.
I don't even know what that means. Oh, author 2 error. No idea. Okay, let me try something else.
Do you have to put the country's name in?
Ireland is a hard country to find records.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be an error like that.
No.
It's like their site's down.
That's possible. Great. I'll look for my grandfather. Where was he born? I don't know the date. I don't remember the date, so I'll just take those out. Oh, I had it here.
Somewhere in Northern Ireland.
If this doesn't work, we'll just have to move on.
The thing is, I'm just finding out, because I can't go back. Certain things that they came from France, New Jersey, politics.
No, it's the same problem.
You broke it.
Able to authenticate.
I don't know why it's doing that. I've never seen that before. We'll come back to it. Let's just leave it right now. Okay, there's another one that I go to a lot. Now, I subscribe to Ancestry, so that's why I like to use it. If you're not subscribed, you can use the library version, but it's limited in terms of what you can do. Dave?
Is it, the tabs that you're going through, is that available on your handout or that you can post?
No, I'm going to post this. I'm going to post all the URLs and everything on the Facebook page as well. You'll be able to see the recording and it'll have all of that on here. That's weird. Okay, I'm going to Ancestry now. And what I normally do with Ancestry, because I have a subscription, is I make a family tree with the person's name that I'm searching. Now, when you make a family tree on Ancestry, you have to have two names. So you'd have to have a husband and wife, or a person with one of their parents. But that's all you need is two names. And this morning, I just made a demonstration of a tree. I put Arthur Lang, who's my grandfather, and his father on there. And you can see all these little green leaves. Those are hints that Ancestry has already gone through and looked through all their records to see if they could find anything that matched the name. So I'm going to go to Arthur. I'll go to his profile. And again, you can see the hints. There's 15 hints here. Now, the reason there's so many hints is probably because I have a tree on Ancestry with all of his information on there. But they're not attached to this tree. So just to show you what's available in a hint. So there's a county marriage with Arthur Lang mentioned in it. I think he's the father in that record. There's somebody has put a picture of Kate and Arthur on there. Some other records you could find is a picture of the gravestone, Social Security application. Here's a marriage record. This is his second marriage. And it gives you the information, Arthur Lang, Amherstburg, the Church of St. John. The spouse is Catherine Dunn. But you can actually, you shouldn't always assume that that transcription is correct. They quite often make mistakes in transcribing. I don't know who transcribes for Ancestry, but I have a feeling they're not anywhere near this country. So if they have the image, that is the best thing, is to look at the image. Now, I can't remember where he is on here. I'll make it bigger.
I thought I saw Arthur at the bottom.
No, it's a different Arthur.
No, it's the
No,
one.
that's
Right
Yeah.
on the bottom.
Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, sorry. So I'll just make it a little bit bigger. So that's Arthur, and that middle name is Garfield. That's why I didn't recognize it at first. Arthur Garfield Lang married Catherine Dunn, July 27th, 1929. And it says on there, I can't read it. I think it says he promised to go for instructions because he was not Catholic. He was Protestant, and the lady that he married was Catholic, and she insisted that they be married in the Catholic Church. In fact, she also insisted that two of his sons, one of them being my father, had to be baptized, and they were 13 and 12 years old. But they were baptized in the Catholic Church, and as long as she was alive, they were brought up as Catholic. When my father met my mother, she was not Catholic, she was Presbyterian, but Catherine Dunn Lang would not go into a Protestant church, so they had to be married at the home, and then they had a reception afterwards. So it never bothered me what religion anybody was, because I could see in my own family it did cause strife if you made a big deal out of it.
You can download those.
Yes, so I would say yes. It's asking me, does this Arthur Lang and this record match person in your tree? I say yes, and then it again shows me what the difference is. I'll say, oh, I don't have that Garfield. I'll put that in there. And now I should have written down the actual date because they don't give you the actual date of the marriage, but it was on that document. I could have put it in there.
But you could have downloaded that.
Yes,
Copy it.
Yes.
Save it or print it.
right.
Now, do you do both? Do you save it to your tree and print a hard copy?
I do. I save it to my hard drive and print it, and then I attach it to the family tree.
I don't print. I used to print everything.
Yeah,
I have cabinets full of printed
that's why I
material
wondered,
that are
because it's
useless.
getting overwhelming and inks get.
But what they suggested in one of these webinars that we saw was you should always keep separate from your tree all the documents. And what
Yeah,
they
the
suggested
file.
is you have like a folder, a genealogy folder, And one of the subfolders might be the Lang family.
Yeah.
And the subfolder of that might be even further, like Harry Lang and Arthur Lang. And any documents related to those people could go into there. So it's good to be organized that way. I didn't do any of that when I started off, of course, so
Yeah.
I'm way behind.
Well, I do that. And then I used to burn it like once a month. I had a date and I'd add it to a DVD, put it in the safe. Now I just do it on a jump drive because I'm paranoid.
Yeah, well, I save everything to an external drive, but I do it maybe twice a year.
Yeah, well, I have a backup drive, but I'm still paranoid. It's a lot of work to lose
It is a lot of work. So that's basically why I like Family Tree, is because I was able to find Arthur's wife, all the names of his children, the dates of their birth. That was all on Ancestry. So if I look at Harry, that's my father. There's 13 hints for him. Now, the fact that he died in Windsor in 1991 is not on here because Ancestry doesn't have information that is that new. There's a picture of my dad as a soldier. These are all my pictures.
Sorry to keep asking questions. The library has a Ancestry library edition.
Yes, they do not have trees on.
That's what I wanted to know.
Yes, so if I didn't have the tree, that's what I was gonna do next. If you just wanted to search, I'm gonna do that Samuel guy now. Okay, Samuel,
We did it. Samuel H. Brighton.
Bridgen.
Bridg,
Ian, Bridge with an N.
Bridgen, and it was Ireland.
He was born in Ireland.
He died in Canada.
He died in Canada.
1806, you said?
Approximately.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. So,
And the more information you have, the chances are you get.
now, I don't know if this is the right one.
Yeah.
Is it?
Mhm.
So somebody already has a tree on Ancestry. And I think you would see that with the library version. You just can't make your own tree. I think you can see, what you can't see is the documents on the library version, I don't think. Is this him down here in the 61 census? Was he in
What they're
Frontenac?
looking for is the birth record
Birth?
specifically.
Yeah, I was looking for a death record.
Okay, well,
Looking
over
for-
on the side, you can see these different categories. You can limit what you're looking for, so I'm picking the birth, marriage, death, and I'm seeing that there are 24 records related to death. Now, they might not be him, but if I click on that, there's a find a grave for a Samuel. Did he die in 1890?
I think so.
So this is from Find a Grave Canada. I can go to the website if you want to. It's, you think this is him?
Pick it up sometime.
Says it has a bio, so let's go to that website.
Oh, I just saw that.
Oh, they put a picture of a book on there, that's odd.
I think his name was in the book, just his name. I
So
don't-
it says the death is 26th of June, 1890, and he is buried in Piccadilly Cemetery.
Okay, my question, what's that memorial ID number?
That's the number that is given to, like, when you put stuff, it's people like us that put things on Find a Grave. It's not an organization.
Okay.
So if I put one on, it's gonna assign a number. I believe that's right. Deborah?
Yes, that's right.
Okay,
And if you're using Legacy, there's a spot at the bottom of the Legacy page that you can put that number in, and it will automatically go to Find My Grave on your computer.
Oh.
And show you that.
I've been at Piccadilly Cemetery and I took pictures and I got records of people that were buried in there and he wasn't in it.
This isn't a
well, he may
photo.
not have a stone. That's quite
Yeah.
common. I mean, I know that my grandmother is buried in a cemetery in Detroit, but there's no stone. And
But wouldn't it have been in their records though, the records of people that were buried in
yes,
there?
yes, it was.
If the record survived.
If they survive, yeah.
They weren't in the records I got.
See, this is 1890. That's quite a ways back.
No, it says it has photo and flowers. Is there
No,
something
that's
else?
if there, okay, the photo is the book.
Book.
Mhm.
If there are photos, flowers, that's odd. I've never seen that. Someone put flowers in here? Oh, yeah, there you go. Joan Donnelly Elms. Do you know that person? She put that little,
There's an arrow there. Can you click on the little arrow beside the share mark?
add to scrapbook or report abuse.
Not leaving anything bad.
So the memorial does give you a lot of information about
We
the
can
rest
go
of
down a
the.
little bit farther on it.
Like
See,
you
there's
can
more
see all the-
information.
Like if you wanted to find more Brigdens in
Bridget.
Piccadilly, Bridgen, sorry,
Mhm.
in Piccadilly Cemetery, you can click on that. And it'll give you all of them. Some have pictures. I don't know if you know any of these. So that's a useful tool, very useful. Another place that, this is our website, and again, we are having, some problems with it in that our files that we've put on there are too big. Now, we have somebody that's reducing all the files, but we haven't had time to actually link them to the website yet. But I can show you some things. For example, if you wanted to know when the meetings were, under the home, you can go to meetings and show you what's coming up. That was January and old ones as well. The resource one that's the one I would use the most. I think the public would use the most. Publications, there's a list of publications. There's various different indexes. So say we went to the Cemetery Index and you wanted to find if somebody was buried in Essex County, I'm going to go to the one that I like the best. I'll go to, does anybody have anybody buried in Essex County with the last name beginning with A to G?
Antea.
What's the last name?
Antea.
Antea. Okay, let's see if there's an Antea in here. So there's a lot of information about how to read the index because the cemeteries have been given shortened names so that they fit on the index. Antea. I probably could have just done a Control F to look for Antea. I don't know if this works for this. Do you ever do that? Just Control F and then you can just search? Wow, what was that? Maybe it doesn't work. It may not be in an OCR document, I don't know. But I can just look up.
No, it's too far.
Too far.
We can increase the size of it.
Can you not see it?
Yes.
Getting there.
There you go.
Now, there's different spellings for
Yeah.
Antea.
It's, and there was a number of spellings for it.
Look at all the ones that are spelled that way.
All those AILLA were
Yeah.
the previous ones, and prior to that was ANTAYA, and after that was ANTAYA.
Yeah, well, look at all the Anteas. This whole page is nothing but Anteas.
Yeah.
So, for example, Charles, he's buried in St. Anne's, which is in Tecumseh, and he's on page 33. Now, if you aren't a member, that's all you can really know, is that he's buried there, but you don't have any information about what's transcribed. That's where you have to be a member to be able to go into the members only page, and we have all the transcriptions on there. I'll show you that later. So
We
it's,
also have all the books upstairs, do you know?
oh yeah, all of this is upstairs. All of what I'm showing you is upstairs. All the work that the Essex people have done, the transcriptions, they've been transcribing cemeteries since the 17th, or the, sorry. Since the 1980s, is that right, Pat? Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, contact us, you can send us an email if you want. The members only site, you can't get it from here, but I'm gonna show you how you would. If you click on members only, there's a members login. Don't really look at the instructions because they've changed a little bit. If you just go to that members login, this is a test. Aha, it worked. It goes to, this is the OGS page in order to get into the members only. You have to log in. See way up there, the login.
You scroll down.
Just scroll down.
Scroll down. Oh, Cindy's is already there. I'll just go like that.
It must be Cindy's computer.
Yes, it is. Mine didn't, mine was too old. So, under resources, there's a thing in the corner called Members Corner. That's where you'd have to go to find the members only pages. You go there first. And then it's going to give you all the things the members only people can look at. Old recordings. You should look at some of those webinars because you can still watch them now and they're great. Different the papers, the advantages, and at the bottom, branch members only pages. Now you're only going to be offered to go into, oh, Cindy is into all of these. She's a member of all of these branches. I only have Kent and Essex on mine. So I'll go to the Essex one. This is our members only page. And it's basically a table of the different things that we offer. Again, we're having a problem with the size of our files. It's taking some time to get some of them down. I'll take a chance and see if I can get one. So Cemetary Transcriptions, we wanted St. Anne's, didn't we? These are all the different cemeteries. Windsor,
It says, come see St. Anne's.
to
Under
come see
Stony
St.
Point.
Anne's, here it is. Well, this was nice and fast. I must not have high-speed internet at home because that was fast. And wasn't it on page 33? I'll go to try.
Oh, now you're at 30.
I'm getting there. So we're looking for Antea. Does anybody see it?
Very
bottom.
Oh, there it is. Brother Charles T. Antea, and it gives you the date, 1911 to 1981. But sometimes, you know, you get even more information. You get the spouse's name, the children, sometimes some of the children's names. But there's a lot to look at in the members only. There are obituaries. We have some that are at the bottom here, the Essex County Newspaper Obituary Collection. Again, these are all on the library shelves. Anybody want me to check one? I'll just go to A.
And by the way, if you like scanning, hold that and scan.
Yeah, we have to scan. That's how they're on here. They're scanned.
No CR.
But I don't know when this was done. It was a long time ago, I believe, but somebody kept track and put these all in a book. There's binders that are up in the library that have all these in them. It's a tremendous amount of work, a lot of work, and an obituary gives you so much information. So they're always good to look at.
And there's the hardcover church books too, right?
Yes, we have, like a lot of the, we don't have a lot of the church records. We have,
Assumptions upstairs, right? I think I looked at that.
which one?
Assumption, the cemetery.
Oh, the
Assumption
cemetery,
Church.
all the cemeteries are up there too,
Yeah.
yes.
Excuse me, is that in hardcover or is it on computer?
No, it's hardcover, yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Years ago in Bell River, they had the Francophone Genealogy Society,
Mhm.
and they had a lot of hardcover books. They were
We
out
have,
Comte to
We've purchased all of what they have,
Okay.
they've published them and they've sold them. And
Because that's where I got most of my information.
absolutely,
from
they're tremendous records.
From my dad's side.
Yeah.
They're
They're
located-
redoing,
They're located at Princeton College now, second floor of the Maryvale building, open on Tuesdays.
And where's that, I'm sorry?
Prince Road
Oh, yeah,
and College.
oh, okay.
used to be the Maryvale,
So is that the Francophone Society, is
Yep.
it still?
well, yeah, it's hard to find, but you have to,
Go on Tuesday between 10 and 8.
Mhm.
I would call them first or
Right.
look it up on
So if
they've
I
got a
wanted to,
website.
like, on my mother's side, she was an only child.
Mhm.
And it makes it extremely hard because both of her parents, well, her mother passed away, I was about 6. So I have absolutely zero information.
Right,
So I do have, believe it or not, I have baptismal certificate for her mother.
wow,
And I have some information on her father, but not much. And I know there's probably enough to go on, but it's like, where do you start? My dad was relatively easy because being an Antaya, that name only existed in Canada. And it was given to us by the natives. Originally it was Pelche. He came over as Nicholas Pelche was the first one that came over then from that in the 1600s. So that was easy to find. And my wife and I actually went to Italy this year and went right to Nicholas Pelche's house, which is still standing.
in Italy.
In France.
In France, pardon me. We
Oh,
went to
in
Italy and
France,
then we
wow.
went to France,
Mhm.
the last part of the journey, and we actually stood in the driveway.
There is nothing like standing in the
Yeah.
streets where your ancestors that you
Is
never
the
even
church
met.
he was baptized in, is still
Mhm.
there, the baptismal font's still there. It was like, whoa.
I
Even
could
just-
tell you a story about when we went to Scotland and we were looking for the Burkhart Castle, but I'll start crying, so. there we go.
I know what you're
It's
talking about.
very,
It's
it's
just
very, it can be very emotional,
extremely
for
moving.
sure.
Yeah.
It's very moving. So anything else? We have all the trails newsletters up here. I'm not sure how,
If anybody likes doing newsletters, we have a job.
but you can see all these trail magazines. We're trying to find people that would like to index these, because the problem with all of this is that you don't want to look in every single newspaper to find maybe your ancestor's name, because you probably aren't going to find it. But if somebody had indexed it, you could just do a search. Eventually, that's our hope. I don't know what time is it. Am I running out of time?
10 to 8. 10 to 8.
Okay, I better hurry up. So anyway, that's the members only page, but there are other things. We were talking about the education.
You have a question, Linda?
Yes,
What is Trails?
Trails is the newsletter that is produced by Cindy at the back, and it's for the Essex branch. There's 3 a year, and you are sent them digitally. So once you've joined, we have your email, and we send them to you 3 times a year. And what people have, written articles about local ancestors that might be of interest. You want to say anything, Cindy?
No, there's a whole team that works on the newsletter. There's lots of great stuff on it. So if you're a member, go in and read the past issues. You'd be surprised at who you're gonna find in there.
Okay, I was just going to go to try to find these, education. Education, so the webinars for 2018 are on here. So the January one was already done. That was a great one. And we are sponsoring the February one. But you can go down, and what you just do is you register for them. You can actually test your computer to make sure that you've got the proper requirements to be able to run them. And that's just the first 4. I mean, they go on. The whole year is on here. And you never know, it might be something that's interesting to you. Okay, I'm not gonna
You
spend
can
all
look
my
at
time.
past recordings.
Yes, if you're a member. Yeah, yeah, so there's 12 every year. Okay, I've gone on here to show you different obituaries. Are you familiar with the Windsor Star and how to look for an obituary there? What I have to remind people, okay, I'm going to search. Oh, here it is, sorry. I always go to the advanced search. For some reason, it's not on here.
Yes, it is. Right under search,
Was it?
on the right-hand side. Now. you see
Oh, there it
search?
is, yes. Very tiny letters. I go to the advanced search because what you can do is look for the oldest one. They keep adding to this, so this is a continuously growing thing. I always put in all time because you don't really have to know when somebody died. I'll put my mother in because she died at this time. So it found her, and you can view the obituary. And you know, you can cut and paste and put this on your tree. But it only goes back, I think, to about 2003 right now. So if somebody died in the local area before that time, you can go to the Windsor Public Library. They have an obituary index. And anybody want to give me a name that might have been around in Windsor that died in the 60s or 70s?
Lapret, L-A-F-O-R-E-T.
Sorry,
F-O-R-E-T. Elmer.
Elmer?
Yeah.
No.
Oh my goodness.
Well, you know what?
He's there.
Well, you know what I would do is I would not put Elmer in and see if there's a different. Getting closer. No Elmer. Do you have another name?
No?
That year just might not be done.
What year did he die?
1966.
Sure, I've seen some that are in the 50s in here. Let me try something else.
Draw it wrong.
I know, on purpose. There it is. There's Elmer with an S.
Forest.
Oh, yeah.
Elmer LaForest. LaForest, right? So there he is, January 2nd, 1968.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, these aren't online. But if you're living in the area, just take a note of what date, what date the newspaper it was published in. And all of the microfilms are upstairs on the second floor for the Windsor Star. So you can just go to them, look it on microfilm. You can cut out a piece of just the actual obituary that you want. You can save it on a hard drive and take it home.
A lot of the funeral homes have put things where you can go back to.
Yes. Well, the other thing is you can always just Google a name. I always Google a name too. I didn't even put that in the presentation, but you can Google a name and quite often you will get, say, a funeral home in Kent County for that person.
Like, if you know the city, we put in funeral homes for that city and search each funeral home, and I was able to get a hold of a cousin of my husband
Sure.
that way.
But that's really the only way to do it, is to Google it that way.
Yeah.
But with the Windsor Star, the only ones that are online only go back to about 2003. But like I said, they're adding to it all the time. Yes.
Now, quite often, I notice, particularly with French names, there's a lot of variations in the spelling.
Right.
Like my grandfather's last name was Malay, but you could spell it a couple of different ways, LL or a double T at the end.
You'd have to try every spelling you could think of, because this program doesn't look for alternate spellings the
Right.
way Ancestry would or MyHeritage. They'll look for other spellings, but not this one. Okay, let's go. The other place where I used to get cemetery photos, but we've had a problem with this. This cemetery project, the images for the photographs are kept on RootsWeb, and they've had a security breach in December, so you can't get anything on RootsWeb. They're completely down. So I'll go to Ontario. You can still look at what they call an index. And I'll go to, down here, I'll go to Essex County. So it gives you all the cemeteries that have some pictures or at least names. So if I go to Assumption, I'll put in, should I put Antea? Anybody in Assumption in Antea?
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I'm sure there is.
So this is all you can see now. So you have the name and whatever information they decided to put in their index. So usually if there's a birth date, a year, and a death year, you'll find that, and sometimes you'll find the age. But before, you used to be able to click on that name and it would go directly to a picture. It was a great resource. I'm sure it'll be back as soon as RootsWeb finds out, how to fix their problem with security.
And the other one, Canada Headstone.
That's next.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, that's on.
Now, if you wanted, like, if you didn't find it in that particular thing, you'd have to go to the alternate spelling.
Yes,
So there was those Antaeas, and then there was the other ones with the A,
Right.
L-I-A.
well, you can imagine how Burkhart was spelled differently.
Yeah.
So, I've been there. This is a new site, Canada Headstones. The Ontario Genealogical Society has sponsored it or
Acquired it,
acquired it.
acquired it.
Oh, we've acquired it. It's new, so it doesn't have as much on it yet, but you would start here and put in I'll put Antea again. It's like,
Well, with this site, you can upload your own family pictures.
well,
Headstones.
yes, I don't know how to do that, so I didn't even mention that. So quick search of all of Canada that has been put on this site. There's quite a few. There's one from St. Anne's and Tecumseh. So somebody has put in a bunch of St. Anne's and Tecumseh ones. That's nice. So I've never really found anybody on here, so let's see what happens. Do you know any of these people?
Yeah, a lot of them would be my dad's uncles. Henry is my dad's grandfather.
Okay, let's look at Henry, see if we can read the stone.
Tony would be his sister.
Wow, you can't read it. It's hard to read, but
It's still there.
they have a
Transcript.
transcription below it. So somebody has figured out what it says. So that's kind of neat. I don't really know what else. Have you used this, Dave, a lot?
I've uploaded pictures to it.
Can you
Yeah,
search
in
by
Essex County.
cemetery?
Sorry.
Can you search by cemetery or no?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, there's browse cemeteries. Browse cemeteries. Not sure what I'm doing here. Oh, this is all the cemeteries. Well, you don't want to do
Right.
that.
Oh, no, click on,
Can you pick one?
Yeah.
So I'll pick Mount Pleasant. There's a filter. And you would just get that one cemetery.
They are very helpful there, by the way. You go in the office and they'll tell you exactly where the grave is,
Mount Pleasant?
Yeah.
Oh,
just so you know. At least they did for me.
well, yeah, it
They were
depends.
remote.
It really depends.
I emailed them.
Really?
And they said-
Well, that's
It's
good. That's
huge.
good.
It's two sides of the street.
But eventually, this Canada Headstones is good. Like you can see the number of pages of cemeteries that are just for that one cemetery. So somebody must have done that whole cemetery.
It's huge.
Yeah.
That's why I went to the office and I'm like,
Hmm. The other one is Find a Grave, and I think we've already kind of looked at that. Any other name you want me to try?
nada,
Last name?
Yeah.
N-A,
NTAIS. Elizabeth for the first name.
okay, let's try that.
That's something, the assumption.
No, you got next.
Oh dear,
Wait, what if I
new, so is Z. Well, there's one. I don't know if it's the right one.
just want to see if there's a picture.
Yeah, Assumption Cemetery. So
No fault.
it does give you some information, daughter of Louis Amadee Nantes and Helen Fortier. Parents, they've got a name of a parent, you can click on that one. No pictures. But again, you get
A lot of the
deeds.
stones are
Yeah,
terrible.
well, at the library, and I can't remember if it was an Essex County book or one of their own books, but they had pictures of the tombstones at the Assumption Cemetery from way, way back. And I used it one day. It was amazing. I actually found a number of great things. It's been stolen. It's gone.
You're kidding,
No,
who would
it's gone.
steal
It's gone.
that?
And-
Oh, I'm here getting
And
all
those
excited.
stones aren't even there anymore. Like they're all broken down. So it's sad.
It's another reason why we're standing everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
see, son of
Preserve.
Benjamin and Elizabeth Labadie, that's my husband's.
Okay, I gotta move on here. Then there's the government, the different government, our archives you can look at. This is the Ontario one. I usually go to family history. And I usually go to the records. And then you can see all the different records that are available either there or they send you to another site. But there's tons of records. Birth and marriage, estate files, immigration, land records. You could spend days just looking at these sites. That's the Ontario one. Then we have the Canadian one, similar. I usually go to Ancestry Search. And just see,
Don't want to do the survey.
they want you to do a survey. But it gives you, look at all the censuses you can look at, immigration, more land records, military, people, lots and lots of stuff there.
So if you had family that came over like on a ship,
Mhm.
how would you go about finding the records like from the early
Well, it
days?
depends on the year.
Do they have anything? from the
Before
70s?
1865, I think, there's hardly any ship records. There
Either
was
where
no,
they left from or where they,
there was no regulation that you had to have a list. I think so. Deborah, do you have any idea, passenger list?
There are passengers lists in New York, that they're not that regular. As she said, that they didn't have to have lists. I have been able to find my husband's ancestors coming over on 2 separate ships in the same year, about 6 months apart. The whole family came over in 1828.
yeah, so prior to that, there wouldn't be anything.
No.
I
really
found one in
don't think so.
1850 for my great-great-grandfather, which is very unusual because like I said, before 65, there's really not much. So it's just hit, like you say, hit and miss.
It's hit and miss.
So it's worth looking.
But you'd think in some of the history books, they would know which ships came over delivering what people to the Fort
But they
Quebec.
didn't
do
have
have
to
lists
keep a
of names.
list. They know the ship came, but they didn't have to keep a list of passengers. I don't know if the Titanic changed that or.
No, it was before the Titanic.
Yeah.
It was around the 1890s, or 1870s maybe, around in that area, they started to make mandatory that if you're bringing somebody into the country, you have to have a list of who they are. When you get up into the 1890s and later, with Find My Past, they have the ship's records of those people leaving England. The records they have in Canada and the US are the people arriving. So in a very small situation, you can find them leaving and saying, like my grandfather left in 1907, he's leaving from England and he's going to Canada. Well, I found the record where he arrived in Halifax. Well, the one in Halifax says he's going to London. So the one from England didn't say how far he was going to go into Canada. It only said he's going to Canada. But I know when he left and I know when he arrived.
And the same thing happened with me with my grandfather. Now, they arrived in the 1900s, so you can usually find a passenger list for that.
Yeah.
And it showed his destination as a place in Manitoba that we have never even heard of, that he had actually gone to. Whether he went there or not, we don't know, but you can find a lot of interesting information on passenger lists. And it can also cause problems, like my great-great-grandfather, Andrew Lang, and his father, his wife, there should have been a child there that would have been my 2 times great-grandfather. He's not on the boat. He's already born, he's not on the boat. So that leaves you with questions like, well, then, did they find him when they got here, or?
Sometimes they're not registered.
Or
because they're
sometimes
so
they just
little.
missed him. I mean, he would have been about 3 or 4 years old.
Yeah, you're
Just
carrying
missed him.
them, so we're not gonna list them.
Okay, I switched to, I don't know if anybody's familiar with the Allen County Public Library, but they have a lot of good stuff in here. I'm gonna go to the genealogy page they have. I'll just do something real quick. So this is their genealogy center.
Is that out of Indiana?
Yes.
And I really found this section interesting. It's what they have in the Allen County Public Library that has been digitized by the Internet Archive people. And there are some family histories in here. I don't know why there's so much connection between them and this area, but they've always been members with us. They've always downloaded all of our files, so.
It's called fur trading.
The fur trade, okay.
Okay, that's part of it, and then one of their main genealogists was out of Waterloo. And I just can't remember his name, but he was a member of our OGS group. Ryan Taylor.
Oh, okay. But, there's things, like the Wright family, there's parish registers, Norfolk Parish Register, Devonshire Parish Register, there's all kinds of stuff.
Can you click on the one on the top that says Yorkshire, Asgardy? Would you mind?
No, I don't mind. Yorkshire
Yeah.
Marriage Register?
Just, yeah,
I have no idea what it's like. It says volume 2.
I'm just curious if that's where.
It's the actual book, so
Oh,
you would have
wow.
to go through it.
Is that from the archive site?
Yeah, it's really, actually, it switched me to the archive.org site. You'd find this if you went on archive.org.
Another valuable website.
Yeah.
But like there's, I don't think there's an index, but you could go through, I can make it bigger, can I?
Linda?
Yeah.
I've been to Fort Wayne a couple times, I've taken courses there, and it is closer than going to Toronto, so if you're looking at,
It's not that far away.
yeah, it's like about 3 hours, looking at actually going somewhere, and you know they've got what you want, it's not that far.
But that's what they would give you, just the name and the date. But who knows, maybe there's more stuff in here, but it just goes on
They
and
got
on.
it by month.
Oh, I'm on page 489. I don't know how I did that, I clicked on
I'm
something.
looking for
Well, it's volume 2.
It just goes forever, and it's not alphabetical.
Walmsley or
No, it's by
Burkhart.
month, so.
She could search inside.
Chronological.
Wow, that's cool, I'm gonna look that up.
She could search inside the book, wow.
Maybe there's an index. There's an index. Who are you looking for?
Walmsley or Parker? Oh,
Linda,
there's
you can
Wiggly,
search
that's
inside
part of
the
my
book.
family. No, it's okay.
Oh, right at the top right, search inside this book.
Oh. Thank you.
W-A-L,
Too many
Two
W's.
W's.
Too excited.
A-L-M-S-L-E-Y.
A-Y?
E-Y.
E-Y? I got it?
Yeah.
Oh,
No.
An error with.
error with
your
your search. The text may still be processing. I mean,
It
you
doesn't
can
matter.
look
I
on
can
the
look, I can
index.
look it up.
You can look on the index. But it's amazing, like, that's wonderful to have these books available to you. I mean, if you go on archive.org, you can type in what you're looking for, like a subject or a place. I don't know if I'd do it by surname, but you could try it. There might be a family history book of that name.
Yeah, like the Weigel family's books. or-
Yeah. So I was just
Yeah, I
trying
found
to,
that with Webster.
One more page.
WALM?
No.
No.
No, wow.
But, you know, I don't know, you'd have to read the beginning of the
Yeah.
book. It may explain what years it covers and what, you know, there might be more. And this one, I love this one. This is a digital, an atlas digital project that's done at, it was done at McGill University, I understand. But you can go, for example, I'll pick Essex County. Does anybody have a farmer in their ancestry that would have been in Essex County?
Curtis?
Okay, what township would it be? Okay, you don't need to, we don't need to do it that way. We can, I'll just hit
Curtis or
search.
Taylor?
I can search by people, last name,
C-U-R-T-I-S.
T,
C.
C-U-R, C as in cat,
C-U-R,
T-I-S.
oh, Curtis. We'll look in Essex County though, right?
Yeah.
And we're not sure of the township, so let's just see what we get here. Caleb? In Mercia Township, farmer of small fruit, grower, it probably should say, Mercia, Mercy. How do you say that? Mercy?
Mercia.
Mercia.
Mercer.
Mercia.
Mercia, okay.
Probably related, but I don't recognize the first name.
So if I go to the record, it tells me a little bit more about him, not much more, but it shows me the concession and the lot. So it's first concession, lot 7, and the lot size is 75 acres. You can then locate it on the map of Essex County. And this is the, you know, the blown up version. There's his name, Caleb Curtis. And that says village of. But I know that I can't click on that map there right now because it'll just go away. Try it. Oh, Leamington, it's very close to Leamington.
It is Leamington.
There's-
Yeah.
Oh, okay, it is Leamington.
It's in the village of Leamington.
Yeah.
Yeah,
When it was a village.
but he's got 75 acres.
Yeah.
So that's before the village
That's
became
that's
what it
before
is.
Heinz.
Yeah.
Before the green.
But when you do start looking at land records, you need to know the township, you need to know the concession, you need to know the lot. And if you have that information, if you can get it from this site, that's, but these are only certain years, so it's not gonna cover every year. I can't remember, does anybody know what years these cover?
I think it's strictly 1880, a snapshot of who was there at that time.
Yeah.
But it's not every name on every piece of property in that map book.
Yeah.
It's
Is
only
that
those
right?
who
So is
paid
it
for
missing a lot? Is it missing a lot?
Yes,
Um,
depends on the township.
Okay.
You have to pay to be in it.
Oh, you have to pay to be in the atlas?
Yes,
Oh, I didn't know that.
it's the same as the biographical record.
Hmm.
You pay to put your history in there.
So a lot of you might be in there.
Then there's a new one that just came out called, it's short for Ontario Land, onland.ca, brand new, just came on board in December. And if you search on Essex County, you'll see quite a number of things say coming soon, the property titles, documents, which be great to have those coming soon, the writs. And then it says historical books, so we did a little search on that. And they're abstracts, so, okay, Pat did one of these. You picked a concession number,
Mine was in Bruce County.
oh, wrong county. Okay, so Bruce County. Do I have to redo that? Can pick a concession.
Concession A?
A like in apple?
Yep.
Lot,
11? You didn't pick one.
and you put something in here, right? The township?
I think so, Brant, P-R-A-N-T.
And you just did a search?
Yeah.
Take out Brant.
Yeah. Is it still on Bruce?
There you go.
Okay, there, yeah, the top one.
So what this gave, it's kind of complicated. I mean, it's,
Go to the details, and then, it starts out with.
there's, you can see there's 548 pages to this. So it's not indexed. So you don't really know where to go, right? You could start going.
That one starts, lot 1, and then there's several pages, and then lot 2, there's several pages.
Okay, here's lot 1. Oh, I see. So you could just keep moving on.
Yeah.
But what it shows you, can you see it? It shows you that for this lot and this concession in this township, the patent for this, the crown patent went to John Stafford. It doesn't really give you quantities. Most of the time they give you a quantity of how many acres it contained. And then the next thing that happened was that John Stafford maybe sold some of it to John Marshall. But you can go through sort of to find out how your ancestors, where they lived, when did they buy it, when did they get it right from the crown, that kind of thing. It's always interesting.
These are the original Ontario land records.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're finally putting them up. The way that they do it now, with all of the lawyers that deal with land registry records have had access to this for a few years now already. So they're just now making it public for everybody else to use. And there's a whole new way of doing land registry records in the last 10 years, which is different than this. So it's all, they don't have to go back to the original landowner anymore. They don't have to prove it back as far. So they only have to prove it back to a certain year, not right back to the beginning of time. So I'm glad to see that they're finally putting this out for everybody.
And they're going to have the documents. That's coming soon, which is the actual piece of paper, everything that was written about, like it goes to this fence and it goes to that creek and
If you
10
go-
steps up this way and.
Yeah, this is the index.
Yeah.
This is the land index. So you've got bought and sold, you've got deeds, you've got wills. So if your family were farmers, your farmer would have given his family the farm through his will. He didn't have to go through probate, which he had to spend money on. He just did it by handing it to the land registry office, which was free. So if you're looking for a will, land records are absolutely wonderful if you know the farm, you know the lot and concession number. You can go to the land registry office tomorrow and say, this is the lot and concession number I want the original records from that property, and it's all on microfilm.
Oh my God.
So you can go there and do that.
I've
on
been
your own.
there, been
But
there.
having this online is fabulous.
Yes.
I am impressed.
Here in Windsor, so.
There's the probate wills,
Where's the land register?
and the probate wills are all
Where's
on
the
in
land registry
the archives,
on
the Ontario
McDougal, I
archives.
It's a little blue building. Is it McDougal?
McDougal,
McDougal
Yeah.
by Giles, just on
Yeah,
the west side.
before Giles if you're coming from Tecumseh Road.
Now, what if you wanted to find them for a province other than Ontario? Then we'd have to go to a different,
I don't know.
You'd have to go and find the records for that province.
So the province.
Each
is-
province has their own land record
So
system.
you can't find it through a generic site like
Unless,
this?
unless
No,
the
these are
province
Ontario.
has it, yeah. I mean, what province are you thinking of?
Well, I'm just thinking, like, I know when my first ancestor came over, he was granted some land by the governor of Fort Quebec at the time.
In Quebec,
Right, so through that province, like, I know a lot of the history about it only because a lot of other people have done research for it. It's not that I've done it.
there's a lot of stuff in Quebec. There's a lot of, it's all in French, but there's a lot of information.
But it also says that he was granted, like, I think it's 50 arpents of land when they first, whatever that is, acres, very close to it, I'm assuming.
I think it's close to
I
an
don't
acre.
know what an arpent is, but it's, he was granted that much, and then, after that, I think that he purchased some on the Sillery or something that was like, it was a mile wide by 3 miles long, so it was not full chunk
Wow.
in the St. Lawrence River. But it's kind of funny when you look at this, because they didn't think anything of it, because there's so much of it,
Right,
you know.
right.
It was just, I'm
Well,
just
I'm
wondering how
running
you
out
go.
of time here. I'm gonna just go to my last slide here. It's just, I wanted to let everybody know about the SWOTA site. This is where you're gonna find these old newspapers we were talking about. So I'm gonna click on that. Now, Deborah's gonna be doing a whole session on this, so I don't have to take too much time. But you can do an advanced search. You can pick Border City Stars because it's local. You can look for a name. What's a really
Up
hard
at
name?
the top is where you could put the name.
Oh, I always put it down here. The name of a person?
Yeah, see, search newspapers.
Border cities.
There?
Yeah,
Well, I'll be darned. Okay, what's a name that might have been around back then?
on,
And
Williamsburg Echo?
No,
yeah,
Border
actually,
Cities
it's
are
Echo.
right? No, I've got the Border City Stars.
Yeah, the Border City Star is a Windsor
Antoine
newspaper.
Labadie. He's in the border cities.
I have never, I've always done it the wrong way. Maybe that's why I get such weird results.
Was that not a presentation?
So now you're gonna get every Antoine, you're gonna get every Labadie. Now maybe if you put quotation marks, you
You
around
get a
it.
lot less and it doesn't necessarily help.
No,
Have to read
you
it.
know, say
But if
you,
you're looking for a certain year, look on the right.
yeah, here,
So that's how many times those names show up. So if you're looking for a certain year, just go to that year.
yeah.
One of the earliest ones. Cool.
I'm just gonna go to this one just to do a quick thing, because this is where I'm getting my obituaries and that. You can you see where I am over here?
Mhm.
You can decide that this is what you want, you just want this information.
Oh,
You don't want the whole paper,
Very cool.
and it will save it for you in a new window. And you can then save that image
Or print.
or print it, you can do whatever you want with it.
Cool.
Like you can, I usually save them and I'll put them in a document if I'm writing up something.
Very tech savvy.
So that's a really good source there. How do I get it here?
Inc.scholarsportal.info. Inc.
No, but I'm just
Scholars
saying,
Portal.
but I got to it through SWOTA.
Yeah, there's
Because,
different ways of getting in. There's
yeah.
also inc.ourdigitalworld.org.
So it
But
was
either one will work.
Yeah,
Scholars, what was the rest of it?
Scholars,
but if you just go to SWOTA, it's right there, Ontario newspapers, and you just click on it, and you'll be there.
it's changed. I never saw SWOTA before. So that's interesting.
But they're just going to our digital world. It's not
Yeah.
it's not their stuff. They're just going there. Now, what I like too is the SWOTA publications. I like to go to it because all the City of Windsor directories are in here back to 1888 or something like that.
Oh.
All of them. So I could go to, in fact, I found one in 1930. I found my grandfather living in a place I never knew he lived. And I didn't know his occupation. I had his occupation and where he worked. I didn't know any of that. It was all, so you would just click on one and they are there. They are there. I mean, you get to know how they're written, so you can just zip into the right alphabetical, like this is. I know you can, I don't know if I can make it bigger. But it gives you the person's name, where they worked, where they lived.
And this is just for this area?
It's City of Windsor. I know that some of them are Verner's directories, and Verner's directories have more than the City of Windsor. They have Amherstburg, they have all the other smaller cities around. They don't have things like Kingsville or Leamington, I don't think, but do they?
I don't know.
No.
Something I found useful with this too is I had an address for my grandparents and it was in Sandwich before amalgamation. I went to here and I could find the address now and I was able to find the actual house.
Yes. Oh, I'm getting that sign. I like that, and there are, the ambassador is the University of Windsor yearbook. I could have shown you my picture from 1967, but we won't go there. So we can, I like the Windsor and region area because there's all kinds of interesting stuff. The commemorative biographical record for Essex as well as for Kent. And those have tons, they have a lot of people in them, like you had to pay to go into it, so you're not gonna find everybody that was around at the time, but all kinds of stuff in here, all kinds of stuff, historical things. So just another thing to look at. I guess I've run out of time. Do you wanna go back to, have we got time to do the social media?
The library closes at 9, so.
What time is it?
8:30.
Oh,
With half an hour.
well, we'll do social media another time. Any other questions? You want me to go to anything? Now, this will be on YouTube for at least a month. Maybe we will probably leave it on forever. So if you go to the Essex County branch YouTube channel, but it probably won't be on right away. Just give us time. But all the URL, and I'll put the actual presentation, which includes all these URLs and everything that I was really talking about. I'll put it all on Facebook too, just so you can see it. And it's nothing to join. I mean, if you're on Facebook anyway, you might as well join the Essex County branch. Okay. Anything else?
Well, thanks very much, Linda.
Okay.